But as you build your own audience, and this is why regardless who you deal with, who you sign with, you have to be your own engine in this modern music industry and generate your own activity so that when you come to the table, you have your own analytics, you have your own leverage so that you can negotiate the best deal. Many people have said, and I agree, life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. What me say? In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. All right. So the details of the minimum spend are important so that you're on the same page in terms of what is the commitment for your particular project.
Well, lion voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion voice.
But as you build your own audience, and this is why regardless who you deal with, who you sign with, you have to be your own engine in this modern music industry and generate your own activity so that when you come to the table, you have your own analytics, you have your own leverage so that you can negotiate the best deal. Many people have said, and I agree, life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. What me say? In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. All right. So the details of the minimum spend are important so that you're on the same page in terms of what is the commitment for your particular project.
Lion voice.
But as you build your own audience, and this is why regardless who you deal with, who you sign with, you have to be your own engine in this modern music industry and generate your own activity so that when you come to the table, you have your own analytics, you have your own leverage so that you can negotiate the best deal. Many people have said, and I agree, life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. What me say? In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. All right. So the details of the minimum spend are important so that you're on the same page in terms of what is the commitment for your particular project.
Lion voice.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen, the balance. My name is Kwasi Bansu, also known as Dejazmatch Kwasi, also known as Ras Kwasi, also known as the Reading Ras, also known as the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm an entertainment attorney, I'm an author, I'm an artist, an actionist, and today I sit before you as the host of the Lion Voice vlog. Before we get into today's episode, we're going to just do a little housekeeping. What is the housekeeping? The housekeeping is the gratitude that I have to show each and every person who has subscribed, who has shared a link, who is helping the channel to grow, who's sending me either comments or DMs of encouragement. When I see some of the item, the positive reinforcement, I just want to say give thanks. In all things, we must give thanks and show gratitude, no matter.
Hey, how you doing? This is Mark Taylor. I'm here in beautiful Toronto, Canada, and I'm letting you know you got to tune in every Saturday to the Lion Voice vlog and tap into the Dejazmatch Kwasi ecosystem.
Small, and as a content creator, it's that are watching each video, I want each and every one of you to know how much I appreciate the consistent support. And as we grow as a platform and as a channel, I endeavor to never forget to serve the item interests. So with that housekeeping out of the way, we now enter into this week's topic. We're returning to the power of copyright and the rights that are available to you as a copyright. Remember, as an independent artist, You are a small business owner. You are an entrepreneur. You're an independent music entrepreneur. You are a small business, and one of your main assets in your portfolio are your copyrights. Those copyrights have benefits, and we talked about the 6 bundle of rights. You can go forward to our first video that we did, legal episode, that was on the power of copyright, to see what that bundle of rights is. So you have access to many benefits as a copyright owner, and one of the most important is the right to distribute. Why is that so important? It's important because you have to get the product to the consumer. Doesn't matter how talented you are, how much you can sing, if you can't get it to the consumer. We are living in the digital age. It is now easier to reach the consumer globally than it has ever been in the history of humanity. So I always say we're in the golden age of the creative. To understand why that is so, we have to look at the history of distribution. Back in the day, the record label was the end-all be-all to the industry. Why? Because the record label had the capital to invest, to develop the artists. The bar to entry into the music industry was so high to get to a regional or national level, to press physical product, to do all of these things. And so the record labels would partner with distribution companies that they had the trucks, they had the pressing plants, they had the relationships with the stores, the big box stores, the mom and pop record stores, and they would ship out across the country, and the record label would give them a portion of the sales as a result. And we're going to talk about record labels and the importance of the record label, but today we're talking about the distribution deal and what that looks like, and the right to distribute in the modern music industry. And of course, you know, I deal with reggae and dancehall, so we always have to put the reggae dancehall spin and the Jamaica reality into what we're talking about. So in the days of old, the record label would take care of the artist development, investing in the marketing, the promotion, gathering the data as to where to put the spend. The music video was a marketing tool to push the record, pumping it to radio. This was the record label's job. And again, they would have contractual agreements with distribution companies. Then, from our perspective, a young man came and really changed the game. Who am I talking about? Master P. Master P, who had the street knowledge, learned from the street pharmaceutical business, the fundamentals of business. But one thing that we have to remember with Master P is that he did not only have the raw talent and the ability to survive in the street, he actually went to college and had a business degree and was formally trained. So he understood it from both sides, street knowledge, and we cannot minimize the role of street money in the music industry. Whether you're going to talk about post-prohibition with the mafia, Italian mafia investing in bringing the speakeasy culture above ground and investing in, you always hear about artists like Frank Sinatra, all of these different artists with mob ties, the Coco Cabana, all of these places. So it's not just black culture where street money was funding the music industry. And we're going to do an episode on the tie between street culture and the music industry. We're also going to do an episode on music and badness. And I have a special guest lined up. So make sure you subscribe, click the notification tab, because we have some powerful content on the way. But I digress. Master P did a historic deal with Priority Records where he cut out the middleman. He was doing all of the label services himself. He was pressing up his own product. He was doing the artwork. Everybody remember that No Limit artwork. It was low budget looking, but it was effective. He created his own vibe, his own ecosystem before it was popular to do so. developing the artist, selecting everything. So really, he just wanted to get his product out. He was selling out of his car, so he knew it already worked, that people in the South wanted this product. He wanted someone to bring it to a larger scale. So he did the deal with Priority Records, where he negotiated. And the story as he tells it is that he actually sat down, he paid, I think it was upwards of $20,000 just for a consultation with the attorney that was representing Michael Jackson to walk him through the music business and the music industry. So you see the value. He understood, and again, I would attribute some of that to his formal training. He understood the value of that conversation with the entertainment attorney and acquiring the knowledge from the people who are actually on the front line doing the work, who have knowledge of what type of deals are getting done in the space. So he sat down and he negotiated an 80-20 split with Priority Records, where he was getting 80% and they were getting 20%. This model was followed by Cash Money, who came down the line and did a similar deal. Others. So the South, and remember that black people always had our largest numbers in the South. When people talk about how did the South capture hip hop, it makes sense. The South is where all of the black people in America, the concentration, that's where the cultural origins are. When you look at New York, Chicago, all of these major cities, the grandparents, all of these people migrated from the South. And if you know about the Great Migration, when blacks were freeing from lynching and the terrorism that was happening in the South and going to the northern cities, you have to study these things. So when black Americans in the South champion this strategy, it makes sense that they would be the dominant force because nobody was investing in their vision and they did it themselves. So I think it's a model we have to always look at. Jay Prince in Houston is another person. So they had that ecosystem. And I know there's a story that Jay Prince, I think Puff Daddy, Irv Gotti were talking about coming together. I don't know Suge Knight but I know some of the major labels in that time, they wanted to come together to put together a black distribution company. Right about the time that the FBI did running upon Jay Prince. So that's a different story. A lot of interviews out there that talk about that. But I don't want to digress too much from distribution. But in those days, it was very expensive. The cost was high. You had the distribution companies would give deals to get your stuff placement in the record store. So it wasn't just put the things in the store. In those days, you remember they had the stand at the front of the record shop, whatever that was prime things, and these were some of the deals that the distribution company was cutting with the record labels. So those placements, sometimes you would be right on the counter as you leave, the cassette, little stand, the hottest release, the new releases, all of that was scripted. It wasn't just haphazard. These were deals that's being done, and this is relevant when we come to the modern digital distribution landscape, because now in the modern era, there's no more record store, there's no more physical. So that marketing assistance and those deals being cut, they didn't go anywhere. They just transferred to the digital space. And I say that because we're always on this channel going to emphasize the importance of marketing in the music business. You can put your music out there, but we're in a saturated marketplace. Now that the bar to entry is low, the space is flooded. So you have to do things to make your release stand out. And now we're in the age of the digital distribution deal. And examples of these digital distributors now are the DistroKid, CD Baby, the TuneCore. These are the platforms that people are now using where you can pay either a monthly fee or a one-time upload fee. You get up and then you're on all of the different platforms. In the reggae dancehall space, our digital distributors that are very popular are the Happy Lows, the Zojak, Tough Gong, 1RPM is now rising in the space. There are other digital distributors, but those are some of the companies in the reggae dancehall space that are serving that role for independent artists that the traditional brick and mortar distribution companies would play in the 80s and the 90s. Now, you also have direct to consumer distribution platforms for music and independent artists. That would be your SoundCloud, your Bandcamp, where it's going straight to the consumer. But the main role of the distributors is to get the music to the consumer via the digital service providers, where all of the streaming is going down. So instead of the record store now, we have these digital spaces in the metaverse. The metaverse is being built out. This is what we have to overstand right now, is that this future virtual world is being built out, and we're already participating in the metaverse when we stream and we go to these virtual spaces where the music lives. We are in these spaces. That's the Spotify, that's your Apple Music, that's your Tidal, that's your Audiomack, that's your Deezer, Google Play Music, and all of these different platforms. So these are where they've taken the role of the record store, because people are not buying physical products to store and bulk up their house and have their record crates anymore. They want to go to the space and have all of the music at their fingertip. And this is where the analogy with the old-time record store comes into example, because instead of the box office when you first come in, you might have the banner ad now, or the placement new music, or you have a special playlist would be the stand on the counter. So there's still deals, and this is why the major labels invested in all of these DSPs, and some have stakes so that they can direct the marketing and they can make sure their products are being placed, because they understand that in the metaverse, this is the virtual record store. This is the virtual space where the music is being consumed, and to get the streams and have your music stand out, particularly for new releases, you have to have the best real estate, which is one of the spaces that your digital distributors can help you, because they have relationships with some of these DSPs where they can boost you, and then they have their own platforms that they've aggregated audiences as well, where they playlist you and they also give you some marketing. And we'll talk about some of the other label services and benefits that they provide as well. Distributors today, the digital distributors today, what they charge in their deals can range. 20 to 25% is not uncommon. With additional services, that percentage will increase. So they'll take a bigger slice of the sales revenue based on what your package entails. And the role of the digital distributor in the modern industry is really making sure that you distribute your product to the DSPs. That entails making sure the metadata is correct, the things are being uploaded. They're responsible for relieving you of that headache. They will procure your ISRC numbers, all of those things to make sure the songs are being tracked and the analytics handled. They also are collecting from the DSPs the royalties and then distributing to the artists, so they're acting as the intermediary between all of these different DSPs and the artists, so that you don't have to as an artist spend time going to each individual DSP trying to figure out what you're owed. And then also they are giving assistance with the distribution strategy and trade marketing. So that is, they typically have someone on staff that will work with people who are on the platform to try to get you the playlisting, to try to get, design the banner ads, to work with your strategy and coordinate your marketing plan and give you that extra push to drive streaming. One of the things, or some of the things that you should look for when you're dealing with a distribution deal are the strength of that distributor's ancillary services. What does that mean? That means if they're offering label services, what are they offering? What kind of marketing support? How much are they going to support? Are they just going to upload? Because if they're not going to do that, then you can go to CD Baby, TuneCore, DistroKid, do it yourself. But if they're going to be offering one of the famous examples of someone using TuneCore to success is Papoose, the rapper. If you watch him, he'll sing TuneCore praises from day till night. He released the album every month. I think it was in 2001, and big features. He leveraged all of his industry connections, and he made a lot of money by his own account from TuneCore, because he paid the one fee, uploaded everything, so all of the revenue that he's getting is coming straight to him, aside from the TuneCore cut. And if you look at his music is doing well from those projects. And I think of him all of the time when I think of Jamaican artists, because they release the most music per capita. So some of these independent distribution companies are good for Jamaican artists with an established audience, because they're uploading so much music they can follow the Papoose model. General convention says you don't want to override your own music with releasing too much, and this is a common theme in the Jamaica industry, but I think it still goes that there should be some mention that Papoose is using that, has used that to some success, the TuneCore model. But anyhow, you want to know what the DSPs are doing, the digital distribution companies are doing in terms of their label services, and we'll talk about what some of those label services look like. You also want some details about the minimum spend commitments. Are they going to spend on your project? And if so, what is the minimum that they're going to allocate to pushing your project? And you have to have some leverage to have these discussions as an artist. So if you are just coming up, you may have to take what you get. But as you build your own audience, and this is why regardless who you deal with, who you sign with, you have to be your own engine in this modern music industry and generate your own activity, so that when you come to the table, you have your own analytics, you have your own leverage, so that you can negotiate the best deal. Many people have said, and I agree, life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. What me say? In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. All right. So the details of the minimum spend are important, so that you're on the same page in terms of what is the commitment for your particular project. You also want to observe and to do your due diligence on what their functional capacity is. What are the human resources? I tell my clients, make sure that you have a relationship if possible, and know who's assigned to your file or your project, so that you have an advocate in the building. This business is still done by human beings. Although we have AI, we have algorithms, still humans are moving the needle, and relationships is what this industry rises and falls on. I often say that my superpower is my network, and trust me, every one of us has that superpower to develop. So make sure you don't just have a dry relationship with the person you're dealing with. Make every effort so that you have someone who you can hold accountable when things go south, when things are uploaded incorrectly. You want to know you have someone who you can reach out to, and there's going to be some response. And this is a challenge with especially in the reggae dancehall, because a lot of the service providers that service reggae and dancehall don't have the massive staff, so sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. So you want to make sure that you're cultivating that relationship, and if you have to move around until you find, not every situation works for everybody, so find the one that works for you and always try to cultivate that relationship. Also, you want to know what the limitations of each digital distribution company are. Do they service all the areas? And this just requires your due diligence. If there are any limitations, you want to be aware and then negotiate workarounds where that's possible. And then also you want to know what are the timelines, so you have a firm idea of when things are going to get done, so you don't get pushed to the back burner, and you can hold people accountable based on these mutual agreements. So those are some of the things you definitely need to be concerned with when you're dealing with a digital distribution deal. And distribution companies of today, because the independent artist is so prevalent, they're providing a lot of these ancillary label services. So they are almost in competition with the major labels for talent, because if they can catch an artist with a buzz already who can just go straight to the distribution company, they want to provide a lot of those services that the record labels provide, so that they're not splitting with another third party. Modern distribution deals. So some of the perks when you have that leverage, you have the buzz in the street. Some of the things that these modern distribution deals potentially can come with are cash advances. So they're not as large as the cash advances of old, but they will give you sometimes advances for marketing support, for you to spend, so that you can get up your streams. It benefits everybody in the equation. But these are loans and they are recoupable, so you won't get paid until these advances are recouped. So be cognizant of that. Marketing assistance, again, we're talking about the placements, different strategies to get your project to go viral, to hopefully strike a chord in the culture. The distribution companies have teams that are designed to try to support you in this means. Again, they're going to take a bigger slice of the pie if you go that route. Advertising, both on their platforms, on the DSPs, in different relationships that they build institutionally to get the product out there to the public. Some of them, again, are soliciting sync license opportunities, meaning getting your song in video games, in movies, in commercials. That's a synchronization license. We're gonna have a special video on sync licensing, video monetization, performance rights services, and other label services. Some of them will even manage a YouTube channel if you have a YouTube, or help you promote your online presence. So there's so much that the distribution companies of today will offer you. But again, you have to come ready-made. This is not going to be offered to just anybody who comes through the door because you have the passion. It has to make sense for everybody in the building because they have limited human resources. And good distribution deals typically are going to be global distribution. They're going to give you access to a global marketplace. They're going to give you access to data and analytics, which are crucial. And not only just access to data and analytics, but prayerfully how to utilize the data and analytics to boost your streaming, to boost your conversion rates in terms of your marketing. A good deal is going to have some level of artist funding. Capital is always an issue in the music business, which is why street money was so important. And like I said, we're going to delve into the real of the music industry and the whole street element, because it's a fascinating element, and we can't neglect that reality, but we're going to do it over time. Also playlisting, they're going to get you on the playlist where the people are and the eyeballs are, and they're going to have the basic label services. So there's a lot that goes into it. And again, this is just an overview of the distribution deal. We can go much more in depth into what the distribution deal is. Each of those points can be a different video that I'm talking about. So this is just an overview. Again, distribution, very important benefit of the power of copyright. And this is a pleasure for me to share this information with you, because once again, we have to realize that the time has come for the lion to tell his own story. And this is the lion's voice.
Lion voice.